Kia ora everyone, welcome to the meeting. Those who have joined us, we are at a council meeting of the 18th of November. I am sitting in for Mayor Mahe, who has gone to Wellington to meet some ministers this evening. So, and we are starting with public forum, so welcome to all of those here. And our first one is Philip Brown, the chair of the Papamoa Residents Ratepayers Association. We invite you to the table. We do, you'll see, have a counter on the screen behind you. You do have 5 minutes, so welcome.
Good afternoon, everybody, councillors, deputy mayor, council staff, and I can keep it down, that's good. And members of the public, who are a lot of Papamoa residents who live on hot mix roads. Well, hot mix and chip seal do not go together. They're a bad mix. So since the 1990s, all housing subdivisions in Tauranga have benefited from hot mix roads. These services offer numerous advantages, including significantly lower traffic noise, a smooth and aesthetically pleasing appearance, enhanced longevity, improved safety with better tyre grip, and a surface ideal for recreational activities like playing and skateboarding. We think properties with hot mix roads command higher values. Hot mix or asphalt is widely considered best practice globally for subdivisions and is valued by residents. The current Tauranga City Council maintenance plan to resurface all chip roads with hot seal over time will result in a citywide downgrade of all street services. This change will lead to a range of negative consequences for residents, including increased noise, a rough surface texture, chip migration, tar bleed, inconsistent appearance due to shoddy workmanship, stones being tracked into homes, and the necessity for frequent resealing every 6 to 10 years with additional chip seal costs. In stark contrast, hot mix roads in Papamoa, now some 32 years old, they're there to be seen, to be walked on, remain in good condition without any significant maintenance to date, demonstrating their remarkable durability. In stark contrast, residents in affected Papamoa streets are dismayed also by the lack of consultation by council to them regarding this proposed downgrading of their road services. A survey conducted by Papamoa residents among these residents reveals widespread hostility towards the mayor and councillors, highlighting a severely compromised community relationship. Economically, the argument for hot mix replacement with chip seal looks strong. However, based on TCC supply data for Santa Monica Drive, the cost difference between hot mix replacement and chip seal is approximately $400,000. However, a hot mix replacement would require no further maintenance for 30 years, whereas chip seal requires reapplication every 6 to 10 years. This long-term perspective clearly demonstrates that the initial extra cost of hot mix is not merely an expense, but a significant saving over time, making the economics favourable for hot mix. Reports also indicate that TCC Transport section acknowledges the availability of new superior products to chip seal for road resurfacing, yet this crucial information has not been shared with the residents. Papamoa Residents has proactively developed innovative concepts for funding the continued use of hot mix on these roads. We assert that poor fiscal management of the roading maintenance budget cannot serve as an excuse to downgrade essential public infrastructure. PRRA and the Papamoa community are therefore formally requesting a 12-month suspension of the current chip seal program. This moratorium would allow for a hot mix workshop, including staff and residents, to look at the following: comprehensive evaluation and understanding of new surfaces, the exploration of new funding mechanisms specifically designed to enable hot mix replacement with hot mix replacement for the whole city, and ensuring that this work is integrated into the next annual plan. The hot mix debate is citywide. It is not just Papamoa. It's Papamoa now, it's Bethlehem next. It's ongoing as the subdivision roads, hot mix roads, in their lifespan. We also would like a fundamental rethink of the fiscal management structures for roading maintenance. Retaining hot mix services on our road would unequivocally demonstrate to the community that the Mayor and councillors are progressive leaders committed to maintaining the highest standards and best practices for suburban roads in Tauranga. Chip seal is cheap seal. Thank you. Questions?
Thank you, Philip. Any questions for Philip? Councillor Morris.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you and through Philip to the General Manager of Infrastructure, if I may. So just in response to Mr Brown's comments and the reports around chip seal hot mix, how fast can we at Council stand up a paid regime, whether it's through an upfront contribution or a targeted rate or some other mechanism, to provide residents with an option to retain their current road surface? So that's my first question. And I was just busy typing it out to give you a bit of notice. Second question is, can we do this in sufficient time to give Papamoa residents a choice at no cost?
Can I make an answer to that question?
Sorry?
I said, can I make an answer to that question while you're chasing that?
It's more appropriate we
Okay.
should just be asking the questions of the presenters at this stage. But
Okay.
so
I'm happy to answer.
you've asked Renata, so we'll do that one. Renica, sorry. I'll get it wrong.
Thank you. We'll get there with the name. Joe would have been nice as a first name. Lovely to meet you, Reneke van Sust, General Manager, Infrastructure and Operations. With regards to alternative funding for alternative road services, we have looked into that. That can be accommodated with a lump sum contribution. There is legalities around accepting contributions that we will have to work through, but that is possible. With regards to deferring the maintenance, we can take streets out of the current schedule. We cannot substitute. We have bought a certain amount of road service equipment, so we can't take asphalt and put it on roads that were meant for chip seal without impacting other areas where we have assessed a need. We can defer for a year. However, we have assessed all roads as starting to show early signs of failure. That may not be visible to the public eye, but it is assessed as needing maintenance before the substructure gets affected. When the substructure gets affected, the bits underneath the asphalt, that gets expensive. Hence, we assess the timing of it needing to be now. Did that answer your questions, Councillor Morris?
Yes. Just a little bit of nuance through you, Madam Chair. For the second question is around, is there sufficient time to give
Yes.
Papamoa residents a choice at no cost to the city in terms of deferment?
There is a live program happening. We have an asphalting crew and a chip sealing crew travelling the city at the moment. Changes to programs that are live have contractual and cost implications for us. We are committing to get to the Papamoa streets by February. For us to not incur cost, any alternatives would need to be known as soon as possible to allow us to not incur additional costs for the change of program. The program is to some degree weather dependent, so we don't have exact dates, but the timeline now stands. These crews will get to the Papamoa area by early February, and at that rate there is no additional cost. A decision to do anything else needs to be had soonest, and we're talking weeks, not months. that helpful?
Thank you, Reneka.
Right, can I answer that question now? Because it's nothing like the answer that the question asked for. We are identifying a citywide future problem, not whether we're going to delay it 2 weeks or not. That's minor, that's minutiae detail. We're talking about high-level policy here, which is going to affect the whole city. It's not isolating a couple of Papamoa streets and pitching resident versus his neighbour's resident, whether he wants to pay an extra. We should be looking at a targeted rate for all hot mix roads in Tauranga. This will put enough money in the till, in the kitty, to enable you to start in 2 years' time or 1 year's time. You'll have the money in the kitty to get going. This targeted rate, I think, is fair for hot mix streets, even hot mix streets which have been chip sealed, because in time that chip seal has to be replaced. So we're not worrying about the small detail of a roading project. It's a far bigger thing than this. It's not about pitching resident versus resident. Can you afford it? Can you can't afford it? The city has to work out a plan for all these streets. You've got Ohoiti.
Sorry, excuse me, Philip, you've probably gone past the
Well-
answering the question.
Well,
So
there's more to that question, but yeah, okay.
Any other questions specifically for Philip? Councillor Crowther.
Yes, thank you, Philip. I know you've got a past history as in roading and as an engineer, but you have contacts with people who are into sealing. One of the issues that is a key determinant of the trade-off between the two and the ultimate cost that people living in asphalted areas will have to fork out for is how long a life the asphalt is versus the chip seal. And to be honest, I'm not a member of Bush Lawyers. My neighbour's here. Well, he's Bush Engineers as well apparently, but I am not. I have no idea, but I do know, having spoken to a number of roading contractors, that there's a wide variability, and it seems to be hovering around slightly different numbers to both what I've heard from you, which seems to be a little bit at one end, and our council staff are a little bit at the other end. And I'm really struggling with this, because ultimately that cost, when you factor it in how many times we have to replace that surface, that is the crucial amount in terms of the cost. It will probably not be affordable for most people. They would not support it if it was the extreme numbers at one end, and at the other end it would probably be something a lot of people would jump at. So can you tell me, have you done actual analysis? I know you've done it on some other issues you brought to council, but have you done it on this, or are you just coming up with numbers around the life?
No, well, it's around the life of a road. We have talked to roading engineers. Our roading engineers say 6 to 10 years for chip seal. We can show you evidence in Papamoa of chip seal over hot mix failing in 2 years. Palm Beach Boulevard, go and look at it. It's failed 2 years after it was down. So there's both ends, but on average, we'll accept 10 years and we'll accept 30 years for hot mix for the base of comparison, because we have 32-year-olds and 32-year-old roads in Papamoa performing well. So we can see that under our feet. So we've looked at that, 10 years for chip seal, 30 years for hot mix, and that's what we've done our thinking on. And I think it's a pretty fair summary. We can argue the odds of the odd year here and there. It's a nice easy division when you go in tens as well. So, but that seems to be what accepted. Yesterday I talked to a roading engineer in Montego. He thinks 6 years for a chip seal on that road. So he thinks lower than what others think. So it depends who you talk to and how well it is applied.
Thank you very much, Philip. We will leave that conversation. We've now got Richard Coe talking about the report on the petition. Welcome, Richard. Thank you, Philip.
It's Robert.
Apologies.
It's
Robert.
okay, I've been called much worse, just ask my ex-wife. Good afternoon, councillors.
Kia ora.
Kia ora tātou, tangata o te kanahira. I was going to thank the Mayor for allowing me 5 minutes to speak, but he's not here, so yeah, thank you all for listening. Now, it was the 26th of August I presented the petition, and as you can see on the screen behind you, it's the 18th of November today. Now that's 12 weeks, and 12 weeks. Now, Councillor Baker asked at your last meeting, it was about, well, why is it taking so long? He was told he'd get an answer today, and I'm really looking forward to hearing it, as I imagine you all are too, as are now close to 1,400 people who've signed the petition. Anywho, so the letter, it's okay, I guess. I think it could have been a bit better if I'd been allowed to assist, as Councillor Curack suggested at the meeting in August. I wasn't, but never mind. Just one thing, I think Simeon Brown should be CC'd as Minister. I mean, he's not a doctor or a dentist, but he is the Minister of Health, so it would just be good manners to let him know what we're up to. I've spoken with a few of you over the last few months, and just Councillor Taylor put a question to me when I met up with him and Councillor Baker, and he's asked, what's changed since this council voted to add hydrofluorosilicic acid to our water last year? Well, I'll tell you what's changed. We have a new Director General of Health, and her name's Audrey Sonesson, and just like the Minister, she's not a doctor or a dentist either, but hopefully she's a better listener than her predecessor, and I'm cautiously optimistic about that. Now, the other thing that's changed is that there's 2 new scientific papers which have been released since then. Actually, they've been released since August this year. Now, the first is entitled "The Sugar Industry's Efforts to Manipulate Research on Fluoride Effectiveness and Toxicity, a 90-year History." Now, a man called Christopher Neurath authored that. He's an American. And it contains some very interesting, allegations, or you could call them allegations, except they're proven. And they're about the Harvard University School of Nutrition and School of Medicine, amongst others. And according to him, they conducted studies funded by the sugar industry into fluoridation, and they were paid millions of dollars to do so. And the Ministry of Health regards some of these studies as, well, pretty much as scripture, and used them to justify fluoridation from when it really early beginnings in like the 1950s. Funny thing about that study is it also identified some other studies that these same researchers did on behalf of the tobacco industry. And one of those studies concluded that smoking does not cause cancer. Now, what it did determine, though, is that cancer is a genetic problem. Some people are genetically predisposed to cancer. And in some shocking coincidence, that same gene predisposes them to enjoying cigarettes and nicotine. Now, I think if you released a scientific paper today saying that, we'd all know better than to take it seriously. But anyway, so the paper that makes those claims, it was released in late August 2025 in America. If there's one thing we know about America, it's how fond they are of civil litigation. And yes, well, as of today, the author of that has not been taken to court. And when asked for comment, Harvard didn't deny the allegations, they just said no comment. Anyway, second one is, this is a short one, it's by a group of Italian researchers. And it's titled "The Association of Fluoride Exposure with Bone Density and Fracture Risk, a data-related meta-analysis." And what it is it's a compilation of 37 independent peer-reviewed studies from 1945 through to last year. And the conclusion, one of the conclusions was, and I quote, "Among females aged over 50 years, an association of drinking fluoridated water with fracture risk started as early as around 0.5 milligrams per litre." And yeah, the current level of water, fluoride in Tauranga's water is about 0.75 from memory. Anyway, it's not your duty to consider these studies, it's the Director General's. But it would probably be helpful to the Director General, perhaps, if this letter contained reference to those studies. And I mean, you can blame me, just maybe add something on at the bottom about the petitioner has pointed out these 2 that you might want to consider. So anyway, in conclusion, I think, just my opinion, drop recommendation E and go with the rest, and I'm happy to help with the minor edits if the Mayor so wishes, and I hope he does, because maybe you'll make me a coffee with one of those nice new machines you've got. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Robert. Any questions for Robert? That being the case, thank you.
Thank you.
So we have got a paper on the topic later on in the day. Okay, we are now going to go and, sorry, we've got a question from Councillor Morris.
Thanks for your indulgence, Madam Chair. Just in terms of action schedules, I'm just wondering whether, given that there's been some considerable work done over the last week internally around the chip seal hot mix issue, whether it would be appropriate on the action schedule for this meeting for our staff to report back with options to provide residents with an option to retain their current road surface. And that's not just Papamoa, that's Tauranga as well, in relation to the submission of Mr Brown.
Yes, we can prepare a report and that can be considered as part of the annual plan if you wish.
Yeah, I note the February deadline in terms of the work program, so I understand needing to take a strategic citywide approach, but we've had an emerging issue here and whether there's an ability to be agile and deal with that.
Yep, we can do both. We can provide you, I guess, an opportunity or option paper on the current program, and likewise we can provide some information and options on a wider program.
Thank you, Bardi. Okay, so we are now going to resume our agenda and we're going to go back into public excluded. So I thank you all for being here.
To hear one person. She's been told to come so that's the reason.
Sorry, I'm just following instruction here, but it seems to be...
Yeah, that's what we said to hear it's only public forum is only going to take...
Sorry, so we are going to be in public excluded to hear one person present on public excluded, which has been, the Mayor has promised this. And then we're going to go back into the council meeting. Pardon? 11.6, but we're missing, we didn't do 11.1, did we? We've had a bit of... Pardon? So can I have a mover and seconder to go into public excluded? Thank you, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Rolliston. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Absentees from Councillor Crowther and Morris. Did you vote for that one?
Two, sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Orbit.